Welcome back to The Real Story. A new push now to expand gun control, targeting millions of people collecting Social Security. Obama administration wants to restrict gun ownership for people getting benefits who are unable to manage their own financial affairs. Julie Roginski is a former political advisor to Senator Frank Lautenberg and a Fox News contributor. Lisa Booth, senior director for BlackRock Group. All right, ladies, help me understand this, because I'm confused. There are tons of people on Social Security right now who, some of whom want their sons or their daughters or somebody else to handle their checking account because they just don't want to do it anymore. But now suddenly they wouldn't be able to have the wherewithal to be able to own a gun? Lisa.
Well, Gretchen, that's absolutely right. And look, the NRA has said that this has the potential to be the largest gun grab in history, because we're talking about over 4 million Americans that could be affected here. And look, President Obama has tried to push for gun restrictions in the country, but that push has been rejected by Congress. It's been rejected by the American people, and so now he's seeking a backdoors means to push those gun restrictions. And I have a big problem with placing law-abiding elderly Americans in the same category as criminals and people who violate our drug laws, just because they need help with their bookkeeping.
Yeah. So Julie, help me out with this. How would we even be able to quantify or qualify who would be eligible or not eligible to get a gun?
Yeah. Let me preface this by saying I am a much bigger proponent than most people, I think, who watch this of gun control, and certainly believe that mentally ill people should not have access to gun control. But this seems very overly broad to me, and I don't understand the rationale behind it. Again, if you are somebody who has trouble balancing their checkbook, if you're an elderly person who just doesn't want to do it, or if you're somebody who doesn't know how to manage their finances, that is by no means an indication that you're violent either towards yourself or somebody else. And this, as it stands now, this regulation or this legislation would take guns away from people who otherwise should be able to access them. So I'm not quite clear on what the administration is doing. If they want to take guns away or do a better screening of people who are truly incapacitated because they're mentally ill or because they're no longer able to take care of themselves and nobody knows what to do if they have a gun, then that I fully support. But this seems very, very broad to me. And I think if you're a mental health advocate, it would be something that you'd be against.
Yeah, well, apparently they are. Mental health experts, as well as gun rights activists, advocates for the disabled. Those are just some of the people who are against this initiative. So, Lisa, about 4.2 million adults receive monthly benefits that are managed by representative payees. So we're talking about that they'd have to go through 4.2. And by the way, when was the last time that an elderly person did one of these mass shootings? I mean, I never thought that. I don't think of an elderly person who owns a gun as suddenly becoming a problem.
Well, and that's incredibly concerning, Gretchen. I think you hit the nail on the head, because look, we're allowing bureaucrats here to say that just because someone has a family member or a third-party individual help them with their bookkeeping, that somehow they're mentally deficient, somehow they're incapable of owning a gun. And that's why I think we've seen so many different groups criticize these measures. And look, what we've heard is they're modeled after what's happening with the VA right now. And as we know, the VA is responsible for putting 99% of the individuals who are on the federal gun ban list on that list. And the problem is they're not taking into account if these individuals are a danger to themselves or the public. It's just because they need help with bookkeeping, and that's incredibly troubling.
Julie, is this a step? Some people would say, who are critical of the Obama administration, would say, look, they're just trying to get rid of the Second Amendment any way that they can. How would you respond to that?
I don't think this is getting rid of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is enshrined in law. There's different interpretations of the Second Amendment. I am somebody who believes that, yes, you have the right to a firearm, but you don't necessarily have the right if you are mentally ill or otherwise pose a danger to yourself or to somebody else. The problem with this, what we're talking about here, is there's no way to determine as it stands now who that is, and this net is being dragged way too wide, and that's why I wouldn't support it. But look, this is, the Second Amendment is one of those things that people either are very absolutist about, one way or the other. I'm not absolutist about it, but I do think we need more sensible regulations to ensure that people who shouldn't have guns, who are mentally ill, shouldn't have access to them. This is not the answer, though.
All right. Thank you so much, Julie and Lisa. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.